I received the bad news from Spruce a couple of days ago. The fabric I've ordered for the Renegade won't be available. I think it's the 19th or 20th or something like that. And then it'll take a week or so to get here. It'll take a few days for them to process it. So it's probably, all things being equal, it's probably going to be the end of the month before that turns up. So we need to find something else to do, and I've got two glaring jobs to do, and I'm really not looking forward to either one. They both involve fiberglass, and I hate fiberglass with a passion. Absolutely hate it. But anyway, I'm up to that stage now where I'd either do that or I don't achieve very much else, because it's fiberglass work that's outstanding right now. So with that said, the first thing I really want to do is the engine cowls. Now, if you're a Renegade Spirit builder, then you probably need to look away now, because you're probably going to cry at what I'm about to do next. Well, not next, but later on this afternoon, most likely, is I'm going to start cutting my cowls. My Renegade Spirit cowls, which are the round cowls with the lumps for the rocker covers for a radial engine. My radial engine's going to be exposed, and so the cowl is still going to be used as a cowl, sort of, but it's going to be much smaller than the regular cowl. And oh my goodness, it's warm in the hangar today. It's 36, which is whatever, 103 or 4 or something like that. And a tin hangar doesn't really help very much. Okay, so let's make a start. Before I can put the engine cowls on, I need to find the centre line of the aeroplane. And the centre line of the aeroplane, you think, oh yeah, that should be fairly easy to find. Well, actually, in fact, it isn't, especially on the upper side of the fuselage. It's not that simple. It's not that straightforward. But on the floor, yes, I can find the centre line of the aeroplane on the floor, because the aeroplane has like a keel or a keel tube, if you like, which is a fairly serious sort of I think it's about, I don't know, 5/16 or something tube that runs the length of the aeroplane. The reason the top is not so easy to find is because the fin, the leading edge of the fin is offset. It's offset, in this case, to the left-hand side of the aeroplane. There's the aeroplane. You can't quite see it. Okay, the aeroplane's behind me, and the left-hand side of the aeroplane, the fin is actually canted off to the left. It's canted off by, it's not very much. I think it's about 1/2 inch or something like that. But of course, it's like a seesaw. You've got 1/2 inch less from the left-hand side to the fin, but you've got 1/2 inch more from the right-hand side to the fin. So there's quite a bit of, it looks to be quite a bit of difference. And there's nothing to line up on. You can't line up on the rear spar or the fin post, if you like, because then your string line won't go through the leading edge. The leading edge will be in the way. Don't know what that is. So anyway, a couple of things that we don't normally use on aeroplanes that you'll see used a bit today. I had to buy one of these the other day because I didn't have one. First of all, is a dressmaker's tape measure, because I'm measuring something that goes around a corner, around a round object, like this object. And you can't do it with either a regular tape measure or with a straight steel rule. So, yeah, dressmaker's tape measure. Didn't think I'd ever see the day, but anyway. And over here on the floor is a plumb bob, and there's also one at the back. They're basically coming down the centre line of the aeroplane. The aeroplane is level, both laterally and longitudinally. I've got two spirit levels on there. And so our next task is to get a line that runs from the back of the aeroplane to the front of the aeroplane, but I'll mark that line on the floor. All right, we're lined up here. We're lined up. We're lined up on the plumb bob, or on the mark I put below the plumb bob. There's a red mark on the floor, believe it or not. And if we come down this end, we're almost lined up on that red mark below that plumb bob. We've got to come this way just ever so slightly. I'll leave you right about there while I move it over. I just need to move the line towards the camera about 1/4 of an inch. Yep, right about there. That's perfect. And I've got blue coloured chalk all over the place. We'll just flick that line in a second, and there's our mark. I've also come a fair bit this way. Yeah, wherever it is, right there. Because I want the line out the front of the aeroplane. I don't want the line underneath the aeroplane. Well, let's do that. I'll get you lined up. I'll get you lined up back there on the plumb bob, I guess. Yeah, that didn't work so well, but anyway. Maybe I'll put another mark on the floor and just join the dots. Okay, so that's about all I need is a line, I don't know, about 1 foot, 18 inches long, something like that. About 800 or 900 millimetres out from the forward plumb bob here. And I've got that now, so I can now start to think about lining the cowling up. So let's get into that. So what we're trying to achieve here is we've got the centre line of the aeroplane at the front. We know where the centre line of the aeroplane is way forward, out 1 metre or 2. So now we can line the cowl up on that centre line. Now, ordinarily what you would do if you were building one of these aeroplanes to the drawing is you would probably do the same as I've done back at the top of the firewall and put your marks in where the where the bolts are meant to go. There's going to be some anchor nuts underneath the firewall, or underneath the turtle deck next to the firewall. You'd install those, or at least the centre one. Then you would come forward. You'd have the engine installed at this stage. You would line up, just with a couple of bits of plywood, you would line up this this area here. You'd line that up with the propeller flange on the engine, right there. Well, that's great, except I'm not going to use that method. Matter of fact, I'm not going to use any of that method whatsoever. I want, on this aeroplane, I want the engine exposed, but I also want to use this cowl. Oh, that's going to be tricky. Yeah, it is. So what we need to do, now that we've got our centre line, we've got our place to go, what we don't know is where that, what would have ordinarily been the air inlet on the cowling, we don't know where that has to go in space. But I want it behind the engine. I want it to cover the accessories. I want this whole engine cowl just to be covering the accessory, the engine accessories. Yeah, the starter motor and, well, I guess they're really distributors or whatever, the ignition system anyway, and all the rest of it, generator and so on. So that's why I needed this piece of space to know where I was going to. Now that'll get me the cowl parallel with the fuselage if I line up on this line that I've drawn on the floor, this red one right there. Yeah, that'll tell me if the cowl's pointed over towards the left or the right. But it won't tell me if the cowling is at the correct angle. And what I intend to do though, I intend bringing a straight edge. If we'll come over the side here, it might be a bit easier to see. But I was intending to run a straight edge, pretty much like this. So, without the tools on there, of course, but I was going to run the straight edge along that turtle deck, and aesthetically, the cowling really should follow that same angle. Yeah. If the cowling suddenly got to here and then shot up or tripped down, I think it'd look silly and atrocious. So that's my intention. Then I can there's bound to be conflicting thoughts, but this is the upper cowling. From the centre line, I can find that the centre of that hole fairly easily, even though it looks D-shaped. It's not round, which it's not, because this cowling needs to be cut off about there. All this has got to go. Anything in that direction has to go. And this becomes closer to being a circle at that time, I think. So there's a bit in it, as you can see. Now, also, my beautiful stainless steel dog bowl here, which is purely for the air filter. The air filter, I tell you what, this was a task and a half, fitting this dog bowl. The actual physical fitment of it is no big deal at all. But where it's got to go, yes, that was a big deal. It does line up fair and square with the air filter. My problem was, once the engine's installed, I can't get to the air filter. I can't. So I had to cut another hole. I had to cut the bottom out of the dog bowl, fit another dog bowl over the top of it, and put anchor nuts around so that when it comes time to clean the air filter, I climb in the front cockpit, upside down and back to front, take the half a dozen anchor nuts out of there, and pull the filter out through the front cockpit. Yeah, it'll be fun, but that's a small price to pay. I can get the air filter off, but then it won't fit between here and the carburettor. The carburettor sits about here somewhere in the middle, and I can't bring the air filter out this way or out this way or out that way or even out that way. Okay, so the only way the air filter can go is out the back. And the reason for that is that we've made the engine mount absolutely as close back to the firewall as we can possibly get. I want the C of G aft. I do not need the C of G forward. And that was the price we had to pay, was to move. We even moved the oil tank is actually inside the firewall. And you think, oh yeah, the oil's going to catch a light. If you're in a fabric covered aeroplane and the oil catches a light, I can guarantee you that you've got a lot more problems than just the oil catching a light at that point. Being on this side of the firewall is going to make little difference. Some catastrophic thing has happened to set the oil alight. So that's my problems. That's how I have a plan in my head to try and get around them. And I know what the lines need to look like. So let's go ahead and see how we go. I've already drilled a hole here. Where are we? Where are we looking? Can you see where I'm pointing? You can't. Beautiful. Okie dokie. That'll be for me. So if we come up here, I've already drilled a hole on the centre line, out at the top. I've drilled a hole in the centre line on the top of the cowl as well. So I can actually fasten the cowl on with one cleco. Then I can move the cowl to the left or the right to get it in the centre so that it lines up with the line I've just drawn on the floor. Well, here's the view from the front. I've attached the cowl with one cleco in the middle at the back, just behind the firewall. I'll show you that in a second. And I've propped it up on two poles here at the front. I've lined it up I brought the plumb bob from the back up to the front and lined it up pretty much as near as I could possibly get to this centre section. Yeah, that's as good as I can do. And it's pretty good, I must admit. It is pretty good. So now I can actually, I've got to cut the flange off the back so that I can line it up with the turtle deck, so it's on the same line as the turtle deck. But you can see, perhaps you can see from here a little bit, not very well. Okay, well I'll bring you over the side and we'll have a look at how the turtle deck lines up, side on. I might get a bit further away, like about there. Okay, so there we are there. Actually, we'll go back a little bit, maybe about there, might be a bit better angle. I think, Yeah, that's what I'm about with this short rule. But if we line that up there, the turtle deck and the cowling is near as damn it is to being spot on. I'm very, very, very happy with that indeed. So now, what I've got to do once I'm happy, and I am, is I'll cut that flange off at the back of the cowling, and put a straight edge across there. But I think it'll be very, very close to where it's finally got to go anyway. No, too close. Ultimately, the cowling will be cut off. Be cut off down here somewhere at the back of these lumps, and cut off at the front of the lumps, and then this front portion will be brought back here and glued on here. This is probably too long. It probably only needs to be like here, and then the front piece glued onto it. It will work, except they're different sizes. This is tapered here, so I'm going to have to join this up to this, and they're different sizes. So it's going to mean putting a whole bunch of slots in there and a whole bunch of cuts in here as well. Reducing this one and expanding that one so that they do join together, and then fiberglassing over the whole lot, and hopefully trying to make it look halfway decent. But that's where I'm up to, and yeah, I'm fairly happy that that's going to work. This I don't know whether you can see it. Grey on grey doesn't work very well, but there is a trim line which I've drawn on around the bottom here. Now you can see it around here. It's only about an inch up off this flange. Yeah, the actual cowl's going to come to about there. Down the back, hard to get you in a good position, but down the back here will be more or less parallel with the firewall. And if I put you there, the firewall is about here somewhere. Not parallel to it, but a couple of inches back this way. So yeah, there's a fair bit of trimming to be done. And yeah, it's already fairly short here. The bottom cowl's going to be virtually nothing. It's going to be, you know, it's the aft part is going to be right back near the firewall. But no, I'm happy. But that's today's effort.